Guys, I just Googled it, and the owner of Amalie Arena is a guy named Matthew Knies. Do you know who that is?
He's a Maple Leaf.
The Leafs cast is back!
Holy mackerel, what a shot! It's Austin Matthews! Do you believe that? Pounds it off the roof of the net!
Bam! Welcome back to the Leafs cast. Tim and Ryan Allison joined by Stephen Douglas joined by Tim and Ryan Allison for another edition of the Leafs cast, recapping the Florida the Florida loss and the Tampa Bay win. The Leafs are a couple games away from the playoffs. It's a midweek pod. We got a lot to get into.
A lot of excitement, but the real question is Matthew Knies' middle name really Philip, or you throwing darts?
Yeah, I Googled it, but it was the Google AI thing that confirmed it. So it was in the moment.
Philippe Knies. Good try, though.
He seriously owns that building, though. I mean, for those unfamiliar, listening to the pod, we get Matthew Knies, pluck him off of Minnesota's roster just in time for our playoff run, and he was a big part of why the Leafs won in Tampa in that previous playoff series, and he lights up that building, and he did his college hockey playoff run there. That guy's got experience in that building, and he has 3 goals tonight. He's 1 goal shy of 30. Matthew Knies is the man, and he owns
You're
that
totally right when you say that he owns the building, because his history in Tampa, it's ridiculous, and it's funny. Maybe it's just because we follow the Leafs more closely, but it feels like every team we play against, we find a player. It's like, man, that guy's a Leaf killer. Usually they used to play for us. But, you can go down like Ovechkin. He scores all the time against Leafs. Turns out he scores all the time against everybody. Stamkos. I don't know. It just seems like every game there's someone who's like, man, that guy is a Leaf killer. And it's nice being on the other side of it, where Tampa Bay must be terrified of Knies. He scores at least 1 or 2 goals every game. He's huge. He just bodies guys out there. It's fun watching him.
One might say it's very nice.
All right. Give
me a break. He's one of the 3 guys in the league with over 25 goals and over 100 hits.
Love it. I saw a stat like the Leaf players that are before the age of like 23 or 24 that had like 29 goals, and it's basically like Austin Matthews, Phil Kessel, Matthew Knies.
Yeah.
Not Nylander? He didn't make that list?
I guess not.
Interesting.
Well, he
You're
did
still
start a
holding
little
out till
later.
Christmas.
Until before what age, Tim? 23?
I think so.
Yeah, I guess that checks out. I mean, Willie, I think, started playing for the Leafs at 20.
He was waiting around so he got good before he started playing for us, I guess.
Holy smokes.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Ovechkin scores 895 goals, and we're, waxing poetic about Matthew Knies in his 29. But
just to take a second to talk about that, I thought it was, one, it was amazing, the accomplishment, but I thought it was interesting that they stopped the whole game for a mid-game ceremony. Have they ever done that for anything, where they're just like, hold the game, stop everything, roll out the carpet, bring out Gretzky and the Kamish? Like, I can't remember any time ever where something like that has happened in the middle of the game, and then they just keep playing after that.
My understanding is they did something similar when Gretzky broke Gordie Howe's record. Maybe not to the same degree.
Back in Gary Bettman's first year as commissioner.
Was that really his first year?
That's
a joke. That's totally a joke. Okay, get out of here. Yeah, no, that was really bizarre. I was watching it, and it's just like, we still got 8 minutes to go in the second. Washington ended up losing that game, by the way, as well. But it was kind of funny because, the whole game wasn't about the game. It was like they could have ended it right there. Everybody that bought their ticket would have been happy with.
That's right.
Happy with the day. Oh man. Leafs talk only.
All right.
Leafs talk only. We have a big win to talk about. It's we almost didn't pod today because after losing to Florida yesterday and having 2 periods of maybe not as great showing against Tampa Bay, it was not looking that hot for the Leafs. But then they turned it around. Matthew Knies put the team on his back.
Yeah, overtime winner. He gets the hat trick, and even though this podcast has been really just screaming about Florida, it feels like, for the last month. I mean, tonight's game against Tampa was really even a more important game than Florida. It does not excuse the loss to Florida last night, but Tampa, who was, on our heels in the division, The gap, the 1 point gap now, it's furthened by one more point. Furthened. Oh, that's not a word. Anyway,
it is
with the win, right? And it was not a pretty game whatsoever. Like, I don't know that I feel awesome about the Leafs after these last two games, but these are the teams that we're going to have to play in the playoffs if we want to go anywhere. Like, we're going to have to go through at least one of these two teams. And the Leafs split those games, and I mean, Matthew Knies is a big part of it. He's going to be there, right? We play Tampa in the playoffs. Like, even though they're scary, Matthew Knies is still going to be there. And oh boy,
it was. I mean, like, you're right, Stephen. We have been talking about Florida forever, and I think deservedly so. They're the Cup champs. They're a real good team. They've been skidding lately, though, and it's just like no matter what position they're in, they're always going to be the top dogs. That's just the respect you get when you just won the Stanley Cup. It's as I was watching the game tonight, even though Tampa's played a lot better recently, they have a better record than Florida. They're right on our heels. I was never in this game thinking, man, like, we got to avoid playing Tampa. We won't be able to beat them. Like, I don't know. It was very close, and it could have gone either way. They had like 4 posts in the first 5 minutes. Throughout the whole game, I was just thinking, like, you know what? We could hang with these guys. If we end up getting a first round, second round series against Tampa Bay, I think we could beat them. Like, we got the horses. They got the horses. It could be real tight, real exciting hockey. But I think we could win. Florida, though, that game we played on Tuesday, I was watching that thinking, man, I hope we don't play Florida in the first round. They are so good, and they're like half a team. They're like, all their best players weren't even playing, and I don't know. At this point, I still think the respect goes to the Florida Panthers. If they're playing at their best, I don't know if we're going to be able to beat that team.
I think the other thing about Florida is just like the style. Like, I would so much enjoy not having to face Brad Marchand or Sam Bennett or Matthew Tkachuk. I mean, give me Brady. Maybe I just haven't faced Brady Tkachuk enough to have an appreciation the same way. But it's just like, there's so many people that I just like roll my eyes on Florida. It's like, ugh, I don't want to see them do well or have any happiness in life.
And I don't want to face them because we lost 3 times to them. We beat them once in a tight one. And even though last night's score, right, the game against Florida was 3-1, you know, like, I guess it looked all right on paper. Like, if you watch the games, the Leafs were not very competitive in that one. And I would say the same thing for the other 2 losses that we've had against Florida. Yeah, they're absolutely terrifying come playoff time.
I mean, I keep coming back to the regular season, though. Like, I think we were, 4-0 against Tampa Bay this year in the regular season and 0-4 against Ottawa. Like, do you guys look at that and say you'd rather face Tampa Bay than Ottawa in the first round?
It is weird, but I don't. It makes sense why you would feel that way. Like, I'm not, like, that confident. Like Ottawa is also, like we lost to them a lot of times when they weren't as good as they are now, too, right? Like, some of them just felt like fluky games. I mean, same thing for the Sharks. I guess you'd rather play the Sharks. We lost both games to them than you would Tampa in the playoffs. I don't know. Some of it is regular season. It kind of feels like, though, the Leafs were like, you know, they have games where they obviously, like, care about them a lot more than others, and it felt like that wasn't the case for some of those earlier Ottawa games that we lost. I mean, we were still mad about those L's, but we definitely own Tampa. It really does feel that way. Like,
well, it just seems like our best players seem to be able to deliver against Tampa. I think is what it is. Like, obviously, every time I see Hedman out there, I'm reminded of what a giant that guy is. He was on the ice for one of the goals that Tampa scored, and they're all doing their huddle. He is a full head taller than everybody else on the ice. It's wild. Outside of Hedman, though, they don't really have that stifling team that Florida has or even Ottawa has to really just shut our guys down. And when our best players are able to kind of dance around to get some space to make a play, friggin' Matthew Knies goes through the legs in overtime for a pass across the seam to set up eventually his own winner. Like, our players thrive with space, which is why they've always struggled in the playoffs where there is no space. And we always face teams like Florida or Boston or, like, whatever, go down the list, that just restrict us so much that we're not able to generate any offense. Against Tampa, our best players always seem to find a way to deliver. So I do think you're onto something, Tim, that I do think the Leafs match up well against Tampa, which is why I said earlier, I'm not afraid to play them. I think we'd be able to beat them. But to also answer your question, no, the Leafs should try to win the division and play the Ottawa Senators. They're the happy to be their team. They're just the thanks, I'll take my participation medal and go home in the first round kind of team. Like they don't have cup aspirations. They're not heavy favorites. Like there's a reason why the Leafs would be heavily favored to win that series, because we're a better team than them.
You better be careful giving them bulletin board material like that, Ryan. Last time the Leafs were in a situation like that was against Montreal in the COVID year.
Well, all the same though, like the Leafs, I mean, that was literally forever ago. The Leafs are playing Montreal, and it's still the same team that we're talking about here. But like, you look at this team compared to Ottawa, like because right now that's the most likely matchup. We are the grizzled vet playoff experienced team. Like, despite only having one round of experience more or less every single year, that's one round more than Ottawa's had every year. You know, like we've been there. We've been to Game 7 6 times in the Matthews era. Like we have a lot more experience in those moments than Brady Tkachuk has, or you know what I mean? So like I think it means something, and I still think as well as the Leafs match up against Tampa Bay, all three of Tampa Bay, Florida, and Toronto all want to play Ottawa in the first round of playoffs. Not that they can't upset anybody, but they're just clearly the 4 seed in that quad.
And no shade against Ottawa, we'd also be happy playing Montreal.
Well, Montreal should play Florida. They beat Florida every time they play them too. What's going on? You know, like, because we get on here and we're, you know, angry when the Leafs lose to San Jose. Like, Florida and Tampa are having losses just like that, you know, in their own situations. So, man, it is bizarre. It's really going to come down to the wire. I mean, but right now the Leafs are, like, we've gone through the hardest part of our schedule right here, and we came out 1-1 through these 2 games. We've got the division lead by, I think, 3 points, right? Or maybe it's 4 now.
Yeah.
And we've got 4 games to go. Game 78's done. 4 games to go, and you just got to hold on to it. I mean, the Leafs we talked about it before, but they've never really won this division, and we've never been in this situation besides that COVID year, which I don't want to talk about anymore. And yeah, we have a chance to go up against a non-behemoth team. So pretty cool situation to be in. It was a big win tonight.
Big win tonight. I would say, like, one thing that I was watching for tonight, especially after the Florida game yesterday, where the big core 4 players Leafs weren't noticeable, to be generous, to put it that way. But I want to see them, like, do they step up against Tampa? Like, I feel like, you know, every game is like the biggest of the season until the next game. But this was like a big game for the Leafs to say, like, one, can you hang with these big teams? Can you play like this style of hockey? Can the big guys step up when they need it? And like that top line, I'm not going to read off the stat line, but Matthew Knies' hat trick was like both Matthews and Marner had like great games as well.
Well, they got it off right away, right? Like they scored 90 seconds in. I think they said that was the fastest goal we've gotten all season. So like you know that the boys were ready to click and play here. And you're right, Tim. Like that line, they dominated throughout the game. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are a little bit further down the lineup, because Bobby McMahon actually got shifted back down again to that third line, and they brought up Yarncrook when Tampa really started pushing. And it made me think that, like, this has kind of been a good run for Bobby McMahon, but I wonder if when push comes to shove, Berube is going to want someone a little bit more defensive on that line with Tavares and Nylander. And even if it's not necessarily the best combo, I wonder if it's the one that Berube is going to end up going with, because he went to it pretty quickly in this game.
Tough to say. I think, like, it comes down to how much are we going to struggle to get offense. Like, in playoff years past where we score 1, maybe 2 goals a game, then, in the core 4 is not clicking, they're being stifled, then I wonder if he does go for more offense. I mean, I think we're going to talk about Nick Robertson later, about where does he fit in this roster. But I think just on the Bobby McMahon conversation, I wonder if he starts there. But looking at the way the roster is constructed, I wonder, like, if the core 4 start to falter, I think he has a role in that second line.
I really hope that Berube isn't considering doing that for the playoffs, because like I don't even see Calle Yarncrook as somebody who, like, I think should be an unquestioned lock to make the playoff roster over somebody like Nicky Robb if push comes to shove. And that's just assuming that Scott Lawton is going to continue getting the benefit of the doubt. But I don't think it's the right call. I just think Bobby McMahon works there. That line's looked the best it has. It looked. I know the game got tight tonight, but it's looked great pretty much all the time when Bobby McMahon's on that line. So I think that's the wrong call.
70% of our goals come from Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Knies, Bobby McMahon. Those 6 players account for 70% of our goals. Is there anything to we're actually going to get more offense if we spread the wealth a little bit and put Bobby McMahon on that third line? Could we actually generate more by not having our 6 highest scoring players all on the top 2 lines?
I think you've got to win. You've got to win the playoff matchup, the line matchup, and I really have more faith that one of those 2 lines, between one of our 2 top lines, is going to be able to beat one of the, just own one of those other lines that we're going up against more than if you were to take Bobby I guess I just don't see that third line being a difference maker, honestly, even if Bobby McMahon or Calle Jarnkrok's on it. Maybe Bobby McMahon can do that solo Bobby McMahon type goal, but that magic that him, Domi, and Robertson had, they're not going to get that again because it's going to be Lawton on that line, and I see where you're coming from, but we need that insurance. Bobby McMahon, I feel is insurance on that second line that it's going to be good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I go back and forth. At first, I was thinking the drop down in the quality of line mates is bigger than the drop down of the quality of the opponent's line mates, and so you want to keep the combo together that works best. But he does. I remember earlier in the season, when he did have that great chemistry with Max Domi and Nick Robertson, but man, it still stings to see Scott Lawton is fourth line maybe.
We should talk about that right now.
Line.
It's a sunk cost, so it's
crazy because we're gonna get into Nicky Robb, and we might as well, right? Because Nicky Robb here. Oh wait, it's saying trying to reconnect. Make sure you have stable internet connection.
You've been a little jerky on my screen, Steven, but your audio has been coming through fine. Yeah.
Okay, we're probably all right. Anyway,
yeah, I think you're good.
So Nicky Robb, he sits here with 14 goals on the season, right? A big two goal performance earlier in this week, and last pod we were talking about him maybe not being on the roster. It feels like he needs to be there at this point because, like Ryan was just saying, 70% of our goals coming from that top 6, and somebody in the bottom 6 is going to need to score probably a goal a game or a goal every other game in this playoffs. And Nicky Robb feels like he has a chance to do it over guys like, I don't know, Calle Jarnkrok and, who else is Pontus Holmberg?
Scott Lawton.
Well, and Scott Lawton. Yeah, so let's get into it because what's going on here? How many games Scott Lawton played so far? 15? 12?
Give or take, yeah.
He's got 1 goal.
Taken away. I don't know. He actually scored a goal, right?
Did he? Wait, I can't remember now.
He got the goal taken away because he had the high tip.
He has scored been credited with a real goal. 1 goal, perfect. 1 assist for 2 points in 16 games.
That slap shot from the top of the kind of a little bit of a fluky one as well. This what are we doing here, right? Because at this point, when I see Nicky Robb on the 4th line over Scott Lawton, who you can see tonight some solid defensive plays, but it's
you
vanilla.
say that, but when we put out the penalty kill and he's on our second unit, I'm watching him because I'm please show me something good. And I honestly, I'm literally staring at the guy boggling passes, just simple stuff. I don't know what it is. This is not the player we traded for. He was better than this. He got worse. It's not this is the player that we were trading for. This is just objectively worse in every single way, offensively and defensively. And it's been a long time. And he moved around. He had some time in the top 6. He had some time at center. He spent some time on the 4th line. He's probably had 12 different line mates at this point. I don't really know, other than Tim, you said it's a sunk cost. At some point, don't you just have to say, it doesn't matter what we paid for him. We need to ice the best lineup. And if he's just going to play 8 minutes as a 4th line winger, then that's just what he is. And Brad sucks. Is that all it is?
there is an element, I think, of he spent his whole career in Philadelphia.
Oh, stop.
Years and years.
I've heard that argument so long. Tim, people get traded at the deadline all the time. Brad Marchand just got traded from the Boston Bruins, the divisional rival. You think people are saying, oh, Brad Marchand's played his whole career in Boston. Let's give him some time. If it happens all the time, be an athlete and win.
Not excusing it. I'm saying, like, the guy, like, he has still potential, time to figure it out. But it's certainly
time is running out fast.
It's probably time to look like get some looks at some lineups options without him in it or on that fourth line, right? Because when we're talking about the third line and maybe moving Bobby McMahon down, like, I'm not 100% opposed to trying out the Nicky Robb, who's playing well right now, right? Max Domi, who's playing better right now, and Bobby McMahon line again.
Yep.
But when you tell me that you're putting Bobby McMahon on the line with Scott Laughton, I'm going to now think that nothing's going to happen there. So, like, because if we go 2 games into this playoff series and we're down or something like that, I don't even like thinking about it, but if we're down, they're going to do something weird, and, like, that could be the moment. It's like, you know what, Scott Laughton's out, we're putting somebody else in, and, like, then you wouldn't have seen what that lineup is for a while. Like, you got to see what that is. I mean, at this point, I am banking on, or I'm betting on that, like, the Laughton thing's just not going to work out. He's probably going to get traded this offseason from the Leafs. Like, it's just,
Jeez,
and that's
that would
it.
be selling low at a
Well, I can't think of a first-round pick traded player at the deadline since that Ben Sherratt one that has gone this poorly.
I thought you were going to say Nick Foligno.
No, Nick Foligno was miles better than this. Nick Foligno was so much. Nick Foligno was a top 6 player and, like, belonged there. He just got hurt, right? Yeah. And then, like, wasn't good for the playoffs. And part of that was because he was hurt. Like, this is the worst one ever.
One
this
thing,
Scott
though,
Laughton thing.
the one thing is that some players, and I honestly don't even, did Scotland, did he play in the playoffs? Was he with the Flyers?
I looked this up. He had, I think, 6 points in 13 games in 2019. Okay. And aside from that, pretty much no playoff production nor experience. Like, we're talking about, like, playoff series where he played, like, 3 games. So he didn't even play them all. Like,
okay. Well, I was about to go on this rant about how maybe he's the kind of guy who turns on the playoffs, but nix that.
He is not.
It was not 9 points in 15 games, and, like, that's respectable.
That's probably more points than most Maple Leafs get over 15
that
games.
Was 6 years ago. Nick Robertson wasn't in the NHL 6 years ago.
Pretty sure he was. Wasn't that our Columbus series 6 years ago when he scored a goal and came in as a rookie?
No, that was
the best moment. Imagine if we had the Leafs cast then. Imagine if we had the Leafs cast then. In hindsight, that's so crazy. You pluck a kid from the OHL, put him straight into your playoff lineup, and he scores a goal.
That was a long time ago.
Amazing.
I'm reserving final judgment on this trade and this player until after playoffs are over, because all it takes is the guy to just figure it out in the games that actually matter, and none of this rest of the stuff, it means anything. Like, if you tell me if he scores the go-ahead 3-2 game winner goal in game 1 of the playoffs, we're not all going to become Scott Laughton fanboys on this post-game pod, like, for sure. So right now, it's an F. It's brutal how he's been playing. Like, fringe fourth line, equivalent of a David Camp player is basically what he is out there. That we traded a first-round pick and our favorite quote machine. And that's just how it will stay until he changes our mind. And like Tim said, there's still time, but it's running out.
What is your confidence that over this, you say 16 games Laughton's played? Yeah, do you think Nikita Grabenkin would have mustered more than 2 points in 16 games playing on the third line and the second line for the Maple Leafs? Yes or no?
He would have had more than 2 quotes at least.
Yeah, you know what, Steven? He probably would have gotten that.
And Fraser Minton.
People, yeah.
I mean, I know we didn't trade Fraser Minton for him, but, like, Fraser Minton was a trading piece. Like, could have been involved in that trade. And he has as many goals as Scott Laughton does, and he's played, like, 2 games for the Bruins so far.
The worst team in the East.
I don't know. I'm furious about this. Okay, can we keep going?
Yeah, goaltending.
Let's talk about goalies. Yeah, let's talk about goaltenders. So, Joseph Woll gets the start in Florida. Let's in 2.
Yeah. First one was a real
Stolars.
softie, too. First one was a real softie, too.
Yes. Stolars gets the start tonight. Let's in 3. Is there... Stolars was looking like the consensus number 1 after that last Florida win. Where are you guys at? What's the heat check on the goaltending situation?
As soon as Stolars got the win in Florida, and then we didn't play again for a few days, we didn't play till the weekend, and Stolars got that start as well, to me that's just like, it's not even a conversation anymore. Stolars is the plan for game 1 at this point. And maybe it changes. Maybe Stolars gets injured, or maybe he loses the rest of his games and Wall gets a bunch of shutouts. Like, I don't know. Like, of course, stuff could still change. But when Stolars beats Florida and then a few games off and they give him the next game as well, and now we're coming into this back-to-back where, you know, we already went over it. The Tampa game was the more important of the two, and you ride Stolars for the Tampa game, like, it's just clear as day to me that Stolars is the plan for game 1. And it should be Stolars. He's been the better goaltender throughout the whole season so far. He was injured. Wall's played more games than him, but he's been more consistent. So I think it's the right call, and I think that that's the way it's leaning.
I think it might work out in our favor, the fact that he was injured and got like a little forced break in the middle of the season. Like we had talked about kind of concerns all year of neither of these goalies has played a full NHL workload for the year, and so if that gets them just a little bit fresher, I don't know. I still kind of go, it's like, well, does how much he played in October really impact how much he plays now? But hey, every little bit helps, I'm sure.
I think that Joe Woll let in 2 goals against Florida just last night, and that was really good. I mean, I know he had one softie, but so did...
He had a 944. It's very respectful.
And he played really well last time that we played Florida in the playoffs, and I just don't know if the book's completely closed. I hear what you're saying, Rye, and I'm probably going to be wrong because at every pivotal point of the season they've gone to Stolars. But I just really wonder because Woll makes some big, they're both good. This is a really good problem to have. But I guess what I'm saying is like, I'm definitely not like I wouldn't be freaking out if they put Woll in over Stolars because he had a really good game last night. Yeah, that's it. But I'm not going to argue with you guys that like Stolars is going to be the game 1 starter.
I feel like when we inevitably go deep this year, and it's going to be on the back of Anthony Stolars, it's going to be other teams are looking at us being like, what? He's locked up to another year at only, what is he, like 2-point-something million? Like, it's crazy the deal that we have a block to. And I feel like after these playoffs are done and Stolars is leading us to deep in, he's going to be the one people are like, man, they got him for another year at that? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Do you guys see a situation where he gets rest? We got 4 games to go.
Jeez, is that it? 4 games?
Yeah. We played game 78 tonight. We have I think we have 2 back-to-backs left, and that's it.
Not quite. We played Saturday, Sunday against Montreal and Carolina. Then we played Tuesday, Thursday.
Oh yeah, this was the back-to-back. Yeah, I think that's the move. I understand I guess you have to play in probably one of the games this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, how do we have back-to-backs in a row, by the way? I just realized that. We play back-to-back. We get a couple of days off. We play back-to-back again.
Yeah. Thank you, schedule makers.
It's Amazon's fault.
Neither game is on Monday.
But his health is the most important part to me at this point. I understand that, like, when he's come back from injury in the past, he's maybe been a teensy bit shaky. But, like, even if you sat him all the way until the playoffs at this point, like, if you let him play, say, Saturday night, it would be a week. Like, we're not going to play our playoff game till at least Saturday, probably Sunday or Monday. And you just got to get him healthy. I don't know. I mean, I would be fine if they didn't play him at all. I guess we still got to lock up this division, but gosh, I'm nervous about it. That would be insane to lose him.
I feel like those last 2 games we're going to be playing against Buffalo and Detroit. At that point of the season, both those teams will be eliminated from the playoffs, and they're not going to be playing for anything. So I wonder if you want to start him against one of those games, probably the Buffalo one. Like that's on Tuesday, And I think you're right. I think they'll probably start playing on Sunday, maybe Monday. So listen, because you don't want to, like, stop him playing now, or even stop him playing the back-to-back coming up, like have his last game be over a week before the playoffs start. That's a long time to sit and get out of a rhythm. He's been grooving right now. You don't want him to sit and lose that. So I think you'll get him one of those last 2 games, one of those don't matter games, just like the whatevers, and keep him fresh. Those teams aren't going to be like hungry, crashing the net. Like it'll just be time to keep warm.
We'll see. You call them don't matter games, but like if Tampa keeps winning, like.
Oh, I don't mean don't matter to us. I mean don't matter to Buffalo and Detroit. Like I'm not concerned about them, trying to start stuff in front of the net and really get in Stolar's face because they're desperate for points to get in the playoffs. Like I'm talking injury perspective. Those are the kind of games that I'm like, okay, let Stolar's go in there. Those teams won't be, creating shenanigans like Montreal might be.
I don't know. I mean, it's a really weird end of the schedule too, because I believe Florida's last game is like Tuesday, and then we have to play all the way till Thursday. It's a really weird ending.
It's strange. I guess like just keeping on that idea of rest. Do you guys see us resting anyone else? Like we have some older defensemen like Tanev. Who else is an old
Go down the list. Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Riley's getting older. Like I don't know. I think that I think I'd be wanting to rest some of those guys. Even like give Matthews a few games again. Like he had a week there where he was looking really good, but the goals still aren't coming. I don't know. Just let him take a break or something. And the other guys, like especially if we have a little bit of a cushion. If we're like tied with Tampa and we're that close to playing Florida, no, go win the division. I think it's worth it. But if we got a little bit of a cushion here, then let a guy rest here and there. And make sure they're fresh when the games count.
Who's the most important guy to rest? Because I'm kind of in the same spot as you, but I think you have to sit Tanev. Just like he's probably the most likely to get injured and the most important. I just don't know. I'm like giving up on Matthews at this point. So like I think it's Tanev to me. I think you got to let him sit. I don't want to see Jake McCabe until the playoffs start. Like that's where I'm at. Those 2 guys.
I want to see Jake McKee before the playoffs start. Like that would be 2 weeks off? Like I don't know. Give him 1 game just to get his legs again before
just to go get really hurt again. Up. Hurt his legs again.
Who was it?
We need this man.
I forget. There's someone with Edmonton who they traded for. He played 1 game, then got injured again. It was Frederick, Trent Frederick.
Oh,
played 1 game and then got hurt again. That has got to be the worst. Like that's even worse than what we're getting with Lawton. Like at least our guys playing games. But no, you're right, Steven. Like I don't want them to rush McCabe back, but like if he's good to go, like I think getting a game and getting your legs back under you is important.
At the very least, like you can manage his minutes, like maybe not 25 minutes in the first night back.
I don't know.
Tim's a doctor. Listen to him, Steven.
This is a really bizarre situation to be in because we've never. It feels like it hasn't been this way in a long time, right? Like even last year's run up to the playoffs, there was like a lot of uncertainty with like us not thinking we were going to have to play against Boston. The Matthews thing though, I mean like it is still concerning to me if you can. I mean, gosh, sit him all these next 4 games. We can win every one of these without Austin Matthews, I bet. But he's
Lawton for first line center.
And then he figures it out, kind of like how Domi figured out first line center when Matthews is out in the playoffs.
That's right.
That is a good point. If Domi fights somebody, or Lawton fights somebody in the playoffs like Domi did last year, then he'll be my new favorite. Oh my gosh! Wow. Well, a tight end of the season though. I mean, we've got so Tim said we're up 3. What's Tampa's remaining schedule, Tim? Can you pull that up?
Tampa's remaining schedule is they face Detroit, Buffalo, Florida, and the Rangers.
The Rangers just got pumped tonight. Okay. But that's definitely, I mean, all of those, I guess, are winnable for them. Be interesting, that game against Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh,
although,
I really want those.
It might not have, like, that might be their first round matchup. Like, I remember last year, I think we played, it was either Florida or Boston, like, right at the tail end of the season as well. and we're thinking, oh, this is gonna be crazy, but it ends up kind of being nothing. Like it was just kind of, let's all be careful and save it for when it counts. It might just be the same for them there.
Give me
or it
something to
could be
watch.
home ice advantage on the line.
Well,
up and down the road.
It's very, yeah, that's right. It's very interesting. Like, as much as Tampa's right hot on our heels, like Florida's right hot on Tampa's heels, and Ottawa's right hot on Florida's heels, and Montreal's hot on Ottawa's heels. Like, Montreal's only 3 points back of Ottawa. If Montreal passes them, all of a sudden Ottawa has to play the President's Trophy winners. And yeah, we could be playing Montreal. Like, literally any of those 4 teams is basically equally as likely that we play any of them. Like, it's pretty nuts.
Montreal's getting their top prospect, Russian kid. It's coming over on a plane right now, too.
Oh, boy.
To be a future Leaf killer. Give me a break.
Put him in, coach.
All right. What else you got? Anything else?
Got top 5.
Oh, Ryan.
I have assembled top 5 Maple Leafs of the 2024-2025 regular season. Now, granted, it's not over, but I think 78 games is enough for me to determine who these 5 players are. I actually came up with 8, and it hurt me to cut 3 of them from the list. I think there's a definitive 8 best players this year.
Was this made pre or post Matthew Knies hat trick?
Post Matthew Knies hat trick, of course. So fresh recency bias. But are you ready for the top 5?
Matthew Philip Knies. Give it to me.
In number 5 spot, it is I'll always refer to him as the captain, even though he's not the captain anymore. John Tavares. Tavares has, I think, 37 goals this year. This is supposed to be the last year of his contract. It was supposed to be the egg of the contract, like the worst of the years. This is the year where the contract wasn't worth it, and he's the second most productive year of his entire thing. He's been unbelievable this year. 4th place is Matthew Knies, the hat-trick man. Like Steven said, one of 3 players to have over 25 goals and 100 hits. Very unique player in this league, very valuable player. He's number 4. Number 3 is Mitchell Marner, on pace for his first 100-point season. What I think has made Mitch Marner most impressive this year is that he's done it without Matthews, his line mate, scoring 70 goals. His line mate's at 30-goal pace, and Marner's still finding a way to rack up the points and lead this team. 2nd place, although you could maybe call it a 1B, I went back and forth on these two, is Anthony Stolarz. I have at 2nd place. That guy is, I think, a large reason why we're top of the division right now. He's posting incredible numbers, like top of the league numbers in terms of save percentage. And I do think that he's going to be our playoff starter, and he's going to take us deep here. But number 1 has got to be Chris Tanev, our postseason or our offseason acquisition. And I feel like he's just the backbone of our team this year. The most important player. He's just the anchor of our blue line, and he has been the best Maple Leaf so far. So number 5, Tavares. Then Knies, Marner, Stolarz, and Tanev earns the number 1 spot.
Wow, 44 goals from Nylander gets him an honorable mention.
It was tough. It was tough not putting Nylander in there.
We can't do this. What? William Nylander not in the lineup at all?
Well,
Matthew Knies, great player. Great player. The Leafs lose like 12 more games than they do this season without William Nylander.
Here's the thing, like Nylander was real close with Tavares for that 5th spot, I think. And maybe part of it is based off of expectation here, because Nylander actually has only had a marginally better season than he's had over the past number of years. Tavares was supposed to take a big step back here, and he's been so hot. He's been arguably our best player since the 4 Nations break. 37 goals for the 34-year-old. I forgot how old he is, but I don't know. It's center versus wing, like Tavares, the face-offs. I don't know.
I mean, I was mostly just giving you a hard time because that's what we do on this podcast. But I think lots of respectful names, and I do agree. Like, could get 8, could get more. Like lots of guys having career years. I wonder if you were gonna put your man Jake McCabe in the list, who's also had a resurgence this year, but you can point to Tanev as well.
He was part of the 8. McCabe and Wall was the other one that I wanted to put in there because he's been so good too. But Matthews did not make the top 8. He wasn't there this year.
He's probably top of the list of disappointments this year. 30 goals.
That's
not 80 goals.
It actually really is, Ryan, an impossible task to make a top 5 though, because if you put Willie in there and then like you don't have JT or you don't have Marner or Knies, because Matthew Knies in a similar fashion, right? Like we don't win tonight without Matthew Knies, right? And like there's just so many games where these guys are just like taking over. When I think of all those close games that we've had this season, that Willie and JT, gosh, they've been so good. I just love Matthew Knies though. Like Matthew Knies, I know he scored 3 goals tonight. That guy's got me smiling. Like we haven't had a player like him, like just like this dominant power forward like that. The way that he scores goals, the way that like nobody can knock him over. He's so mean too. Like he was mixing it up a couple times in this game tonight. Like Matthew Knies is like, he's a fan favorite, through and through, and he's the man, and it's gonna be a big playoff run for him, right? I feel like I've been like talking him down a lot of this season for some reason, because I'm like, he's playing alongside Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews, but like I didn't see any Mitch Marner or Austin Matthews on that overtime winner tonight. No,
but you're right,
or
Steven.
Between the legs pass to Morgan Riley.
If I think of like players who will be the difference this year, that are part of the reason why like we didn't have these pieces in previous years, and that's why we weren't able to get over the hump. But this year, these players delivered. It's like Knies is that much better this year. Like Knies is a playoff dominant performer. Like he roars in the playoffs, and he got even better this year. Like I can't wait to see what that guy does. It's Knies, it's Stolarz. Like our goaltending should be better this year than it's been in previous years, and it's Tanev. Like those are the 3 players who say like, if there's going to be a reason why this year is different and the Leafs go on a deep run, I think that those 3 players are going to be the difference.
I do agree with putting Tanev as number 1. Like I remember when we signed, all these old defensemen in the offseason, you're like, well, he was good. Is there anything left in the tank? And then he joined, and it's like, wow, when he's on the ice, like nothing happens.
Since game 1, yeah.
Yeah, since game 1. And then when he's injured or misses some time, our team is just a wreck. And it's like, oh man, when is he coming back?
Tim, what year do you think was the first year you remember a like Chris Tanev to Toronto trade rumor? Like, what's the earliest one you guys can remember back when he was playing in Vancouver?
Probably a young Nylander.
Yeah,
like
that was back too.
Yeah, before Nylander's like contract standoff.
Yeah.
But that was so popular.
But if you make the deal, and if you made that deal the first day that it was suggested, young Nylander for Chris Tanev, do the Leafs have a cup, an Eastern Conference final appearance? Like, I don't think it's impossible. Right? You put Chris Tanev on this team that, when Austin Matthews was scoring 60 and like JT at 50, Matthew Knies wasn't born yet. I don't know.
Nylander's our playoff performer. If you take him away from the thing, like that, we're losing every game 1-0.
At least we got Scott Laughton, guys.
That's right.
At least we got Scott Laughton.
Yeah, one of those 16
Oakville
games
product.
Next week we will be doing a playoff preview once we know who actually we're facing here, and we're going to boil it down and tell you all the reasons why the Leafs obviously will win in 7 games. But before we get there, it has been a very fun regular season. A lot of stress and a lot of sadness as always, but it's, we're sitting tops of the Atlantic Division. Never happened before. Some big wins, big moments. Even though I didn't make my top 5 list, monster season from Nylander, monster season from Marner, resurgence of Tavares. Like it's just been a good year, another good regular season in the books for this Matthews era.
And don't forget, playoffs come around. The Leafs cast takes 0 time off. We pod after every single game, regardless of what happens, regardless of our emotional and physical state.
That's right.
So stick around, subscribe to the pod, tell your friends, tell your girlfriend, tell your grandma to listen to the Leafs cast this playoffs if you want to hear the boys keeping you up to date and letting you know our thoughts and our feelings from the truest fans in the game. Okay?
That was from the heart.
Get hyped. I'm hyped. I just told my wife tonight. I was like, don't forget, we got to get everything done before the 20th, and then I'm gone.
Oh.
Like I'm going to be gone for a deep playoff run.
My wife's trying to make social plans. I'm telling her, like, every single one has to have an asterisk. Everyone has to have a TV available just in case.
The last playoff game I had to miss, not watch it live because I didn't have my priorities straight, was the first game against Montreal when John Tavares died. I had to do I was playing music somewhere and I had to tape it, and I was so just couldn't pay attention to anything because I'm there's a Leafs hockey game right now and I'm not watching it. And then I get home and it was the worst game I've ever seen in my entire life.
I remember I was at Tim's and when that happened, I had to leave. I was so angry. I went home.
Had the family over. Guys, what are we doing talking about this? It's not going to happen.
Well, that's the last time. I'm saying that the last 5 years of playoff runs, I haven't missed a game. I'm dialed in. The socials calendar is canceled.
You're going to watch at least 16 games this year when the Leafs make it all the way to the Cup final. Maybe more if the Leafs lose a couple, but probably 16. 4 straight sweeps.
All right.
On the back of Anthony Stolarz. Mark my words.
Leafs cast is done. Canceled. Good night. Matthew Knies.